Welcome to the Wonders of Oats. This is a webinar that's going to take approximately 1 hour. My name is Jenny Anderson Colby, and I will be your host today. I'm the Director of Marketing Communication for Fazer Foodtech, who's hosting this webinar. Today, we want to talk about ingredients that matter. Ingredient matters in different ways, and we want to take you through a journey today for about 60 minutes or so. We want to talk about what are the important food industry challenges and how do we meet those? How can we together provide sustainable food solutions? And then, of course, we're called Fazer Foodtech, so we want to talk to you about how we merge technology with current and existing food production. Upgraded, of course. And also, most importantly, anything we do needs to be based on consumer demand. Consumers are directing where we're going. And when it comes to oats in particular that we're discussing today, they are augmenting how we should look at this humble grain in general. There's an increasing trend of consuming whole grains, as you know. Also, a lot of people are quick on the go and they need those nutritious snacks that they can bring along to keep healthy, to stay nutritious, and maintain an optimal balance throughout the day. There's also this growing interest in preventive health care, looking, for example, what we eat will impact our diet, and everything that we do, small changes make big differences, right? That not only applies to our traditional areas, but also, even though oats have been used in cosmetics for over 4,000 years, it's now trending again. And oats are like this new superpower grain used also in cosmetics. Don't just take my word for it. I'm going to bring in an expert in consumer insights to talk more about these trends. Emma Roscoe, our Director of Market Insight at Fazer, is now going to join me and talk about this in more detail.
Thank you, Jenny. So the world around us is evolving, and it is a very, very volatile world right now. And this is impacting consumers in many different aspects, from spending power to anxiety and to really sort of reviewing the world and how it's evolving. And there are three big elements that are really impacting consumers right now. One is the social uncertainties that we're seeing. And this is really about the war in Ukraine, the COVID-19, all the different conflicts around the world, and a looming recession in many areas. And this has a direct impact on every single consumer, whether they're directly impacted or seeing it and feeling it in secondhand. So this is really something big for all of us. Another one is climate change. Obviously, we're all aware of it, but this is something that is impacting us to a very high extent. And for the last couple of years, we've actually seen disruptions in supply chains, ingredients that are suddenly not available, and it's gone all the way to the consumers that are seeing empty shelves. So it is really sort of becoming more and more visible, and it's likely to become far worse before it gets better. This is something driven by young consumers, so we're bound to see this being strongly pushed in the coming years. And then, of course, we have the third element, which is technology. It's impacting every element of our daily lives, whether we're aware of it or not. And artificial intelligence is the next big thing to come that will really, really impact consumers. And it will impact the shape of the supply chains and the food industry as we know it. And then we have some trends that are closer to home to the consumers. So this is kind of the big things causing a shift in mindset and a concern. But then we also have the little things that are impacting our daily lives. And one of those is the lifestyle that we're leading. And I think we're all noticing now, coming back from Corona, at least most of us are, we're really returning to a very hectic and very busy lifestyle. And for a consumer, that means cutting corners. We can't take in all the messaging, all the different demands on us. So we're trying to find quick and easy solutions. And that means that even though all the information is out there, we're not necessarily picking it up. It's all about quick and easy. And that causes a tension versus the health and well-being that we're all trying to achieve. So the knowledge is increasing, but we're still pushing back a bit against all the information out there, and we need support. Today, it's not just about physical health. We're seeing an increasing kind of holistic mindset. And that means that people are thinking about their mental health or unhealth even more than their physical health. and they need support with both. Because the medical elements and food hasn't quite kept up yet. So this is something that is really going to grow in the future. So it's all about trying to be proactive and live a healthier lifestyle and promote your well-being, but then having this tension of not enough time. Sustainability is another angle that causes tension. We're all aware that we should do more, but most of us are struggling with this time and energy moment. So one of the things we're seeing right now is actually that consumers are gradually moving towards more of a mindset where they feel they can make a smaller difference. So instead of just giving up, they're actually making smaller movements and smaller changes. And one of those is food waste, where they're taking a look at what they are doing and trying to cut down on food waste. And of course, this also has a very positive financial element to it, because obviously you save money if you reduce your food waste. It's also about a kind of reductionist mindset. So recycling, upcycling, selling secondhand, just trying to make sure that we are not maximizing the usage of everything. And this will transfer on to companies. So if we look at the expectations on food and beverage for the future, what we'll see is that plant-based has been growing for a while and it will continue to grow. It is evolving a little bit from what we can see. So if you think about plant-based a few years ago, it was very much about meat-mimicking products and very much sort of Me Too products. Now we're seeing it evolving more into looking at the actual ingredients and looking at the kind of naturalness of products. So plant-based is expanding, not just kind of one niche. And another element is functional food, or as I'd prefer to call it, food with added benefits. And this is the benefits for the consumer. It's not about what we can do, it's about what they need. And the key themes, I think you'll recognize from the last page, it's all about mental and mood health. Consumers are struggling. More than 50% are feeling anxious after Corona. So this is something that they really need support with. Anything from helping them sleep and relax to other elements of their mental health. And food can play a role in that. Another one is immunity, which of course we all saw during COVID was popping up as a really hot theme. Now, and that will continue. People are seeing that they can make a proactive choice and really take care of their immune system. And gut health is something that they tend to connect more and more to immunity. So while that was a sort of separate element before, we're now seeing more and more of interconnectivity between these two. And of course, there are lots of ingredients that can help answer all of these. Supplements is another one that connects to the immunity and the gut health. People are looking for quick fixes. So again, they want to be proactive. There's only so much information they can take in. So supplements is seen as a quick fix for many. And supplements is growing. That is one of the kind of fast growing categories out there. If we look at protein, that's been around for a long time. And protein it is going to stay relevant. But for those who are really in the know around protein and are really caring about it, we're expecting a development that you go more towards the source and the quality of the protein. So not just any protein, but really sort of making more demands. And then we have the big villain that's been around for quite a while, which is sugar. And most consumers, since it's been pushed for a long time, most consumers are really aware about the challenge of sugar. And sugar reduction or reducing or even removing sugar will remain a key trend for consumers in the coming years, probably the coming decades. What's important to remember when it comes to food is that whether it's plant-based or functional, consumers are eating not just for their physical health, they're also eating for pleasure. So taste is an absolute crucial, no matter what we work with, that has to be a key element. You're not willing to eat cardboard just for the sake of functionality. It has to be an added value to something that you actually enjoy eating. And then we look more at sustainability. And as I mentioned, people have been more aware of their own food waste, but also about their water and energy usage. I think water usage is a massive theme in some countries like South Africa, while energy usage has been high on the agenda in the last 6 months or so in Europe. So It varies a little bit across regions, but it is really kind of hot topics right now. And as consumers are learning that they can have an impact even on those, they're also stepping up their expectations on the food industry. So if I can make a slight difference, I expect the food industry to have a bigger impact, because obviously they have a bigger impact overall on the total emissions and everything going on. So the expectations will increase. And upcycling has actually become an added benefit. It's not just a kind of element of food waste, but it actually becomes something really positive to many consumers. So the interest from consumers will vary a bit, but we can expect that many consumers will step up their interest in transparency when it comes to supply chains, packaging, ingredients, and the production processes. So the food tech is really expected to help solve the future of food availability, but also supporting consumer health. And let's look about oats. So oats is a well-known ingredient. About 1/3 of global consumers are extremely well aware of oats, and that is increasing. So there's still a massive potential to keep growing with this. And out of all those, most are having very positive associations to oats. So depending on where it's being used, it's seen as better than dairy or better than soy. So it really is a very versatile ingredient. It's a big industry today, mostly oat flakes and oat flour, but it is growing, and we're seeing that there's especially growth coming out of oat drinks, ice cream, oat in brewing is popping up, and then the up-and-coming beta-glucan that you might hear more about today. So lots of variations and lots of growth coming from oats, and this is one ingredient out of many that can really help impact the consumer trends and support the consumer needs. Thank you.
Wow, Emma, so oats is really trending among the consumers.
It is, it's growing.
Yeah, maybe we should hear some more about that. And good thing I have the next speaker lined up to talk about oats in particular. I want to introduce at this time Dr. Marko Mikkola, who is our head of R&D at Fazer Cereals. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Oats. It is a humble grain, and it's growing well up in north. Where did it start? What's coming for the consumer in oats? First of all, breakfast cereals. Porridge being probably one of the first oat products eaten by men, and still growing strong. As Emma mentioned there, oat flakes are a big item still. We'll go back to that a bit later. But also mueslis, granolas, traditional products. Granolas growing all the time. While ago, kind of a decade, we got oat drinks, which is really new comparing to the previous. But now they are going mainstream, made directly from the oats with current technology. Food solutions. People have probably eaten grains as such for quite a period. However, we have more and more products coming up which are kind of can be changed to different products used earlier, like meat substitutes, and most of all, kind of side dish, which could be eaten like rice or pasta or potato on your plate. Baking, that's a traditional way of using oats. Very popular up here in North. It brings taste, it brings different structures in your bread. Also available kind of 100% of the grain being oats products. They are different, but they are good, and they're getting more and more popular. And then sports nutrition. There are quite a lot of sport nutrition products where oats can be a main ingredient, but also smaller ingredient in certain places. But the grain itself, oat grows well up here in the Nordic. In Finland, the winters are really freezing cold. However, oat grows in the summer when we have long light days during which the oat grows well. We also have excess of oats compared to the food use in our area, so we can basically pick up the best and the rest goes to feed. Nothing is wasted, but there are different uses and there are good oats for every use. There's a long tradition of using oats in several applications, especially up here and now growing and growing all over the world. At Fazer, in different business areas, we have a lot of different oat products, traditional and more new. All started, obviously, with porridges, with the flavor, without the flavor. Big bag, single portion. Then granolas, mueslis, plenty of those with different flavors, different structures. Then high beta-glucan, high dietary fiber brands available. There's a lot of beta-glucan, and Marika will later on tell you more about the components of the oats and their nutrition. We have ready-to-eat breakfast cereals where, in most cases, we have oats as a major ingredient. Drinks, as mentioned earlier, standard drinks mainstream already, and then barista type meant for the coffee, flavored ones, this one with the candy and cocoa flavor, gurts, like yogurts, which can be eaten as such, products for food preparation, side dish oats, oat rice, and then candies. We have confectionery and we have lots of good products, among them good oat products. Granolas with indulgement, cocoa, really tasty. Then oat choco, it's a cocoa and oats, tastes very good. And then a northern kind of more northern product, liquids, which is traditionally made with wheat and can now and is done using oats as the ingredient. Oats as a grain has a few features which differ from the other grains. One is it's in the hull, and the other one, it contains lots of oil. These do affect the processing of oats, because you have to be very careful while starting the processing to avoid bad taste in the final product. Now, when we start the processing, when it comes from the farm, it's cleaned, we have to take the hull off. So we dehull the grain. During that process, the grain will always break a little. Now we have the oil all over the grain. This oil can be and will be oxidized or hydrolyzed by the enzymes present in the grain. And we don't want that to happen. And thereby, we need to inactivate the enzymes. That is done in a hydrothermal process called kilning, where we take the grain, we put it in the silo or machine, which is kind of like 4 stories high. We fill it with the grain, we give direct steam, temperatures around 100 centigrades, and the duration like 4 hours. And then we monitor that the enzymes have been inactivated in the grain. So we avoid oxidation and hydrolysis within the grain, bringing bad taste in every case. It also affects the microbial quality. So the microbial quality will be better after the kilning, which makes oat products very suitable for eating as such. It also enhances the taste. It gives kind of a nutty flavor to the grain. There's real difference when you taste it with or without the heat treatment. So when we continue from the kilning, we can have several different unit operations to make the ingredient, in some cases directly, food for people. We can roll it, we can grind it, we can size it, and we can separate different particles. Now, oat flakes, you might think that oats are just, there are oat flakes, and that's the end of the story. No, there are small flakes, big flakes, thin flakes, thick flakes, and they all have their own use. For example, in muesli, you want to have thicker flakes so that you have the structure when you eat them. If you want to make fast-boiling porridge, you want to have very thin and very small flake so it gets cooked very easily. And then we have flours, for example, for oat drinks. We do have brands to add, for example, in the baking to bring structure, dietary fiber, and different other for different uses. So in an oat shell, we use every part of the oats. We take the hulls off. Those are converted to xylitol. James will later on talk more about that. We can have flakes, and then we can also extract the oil, sell that to cosmetic ingredients, and then take the rest, separate, concentrate beta-glucan fraction from there, and continue with that. And James will talk to you more about that part. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Imagine all the many things we can do with oats. They're not very big in their natural state, are they?
No.
No.
Very
So
small.
these small little grains can do
Yep.
all of this, and we use every part of the grain.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's that's the nice thing, to have everything used, nothing left over.
Right.
For different uses.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm going to go ahead now and introduce James Stedman, who is our VP of Fazer Foodtech, and he will talk about ingredients and solutions for people and for the planet. Please go ahead, James.
Thanks, Jenny, and thanks to the first two presentations here. It puts a lot of pressure on me because we hear a higher consumer demand for nutritious, plant-based products, and we hear a lot about oats being used in new product developments. So where do Fazer Foodtech fit into this equation? Wow. We have a unique and diverse and versatile range of oat-based ingredients which can help our customers to meet the demands of the consumers, whether that's in food choices, and that's really the choices that we make ourselves as consumers. Do we want to follow a more plant-based diet? Are we looking at sustainability and upcycled innovations? Or is it simply about choosing products that are more nutritious and good for our well-being? It could be targeted to nutrition, it could be increasing our protein content in the diet, it could be increasing fiber content in the diet, it could be reducing sugar, and Emma mentioned this during her presentation, that it's still high in the consumer's mind about reducing sugars. So we're able to help you to formulate products that consumers would be well accepted in the market. We're not going to touch today on the personal care and beauty side of the applications, but if you are interested in that and you'd like to have more information, then please just drop us a line or let us know in the web chat, and we can come back to you and do a one-to-one presentation on that. So let's dive a little bit deeper into some of the products that we have in the Foodtech range. And as Marco mentioned, the first one we're going to start with is Fazer oat-based xylitol. It's a unique and novel way of producing xylitol. So what Marco and the team at the mills want is this beautiful oat kernel inside. And they take that out and they do all of the milling, they make the groats and their flakes. What we're interested in is what's left, this tiny oat hull or oat husk. And we then take that to the factory, which is situated next door, and we extract from that the xylose, which is the raw material for xylitol production. So it's a new way, it's a new biomass. No one has ever produced xylitol from oat hulls before. And this is a Nordic innovation that we have brought to the market here. Xylitol has been around for 50 years or more. It's nothing new in the product itself, but it's the way that it's produced that's really unique and novel. Let's talk a little bit more about our Fazer Oat beta-glucan, and product here is called BG20, very imaginatively titled beta-glucan 20% beta-glucan in the product. We call it a Nordic superfood. And why do we say that? Because not only does it bring the benefits that beta-glucan has, and it has 4 health claims, EFSA health claims associated with it, which Marika will talk about in the next part of the presentation, but it also has a high total dietary fiber content of up to 40%. On top of that, it also has between 24-25% plant protein content. So it's a really adaptable product that can be used in a wide number of applications. And it really hits the mark in terms of adding value to consumer products. As Marco mentioned, one of the things that we also do is we extract the oat oil from the oats. So it actually has quite a low fat content when you compare it with other types of plant proteins. It's very light in color, and it has a great taste to it, and it's really finding use in a wide number of applications now. Let's come back to protein, and one of the products that we'd like to talk about here is the OP20. Again, nicely titled Oat Protein 20% oat protein in the product. It's manufactured, again, using the same technique as the beta-glucan. It's a patented process. It's very gentle. We don't use any solvents in the production process. So it's a really unique way to produce the oat protein fraction, but it has 20%. It has the optimum ratio of carbohydrates to protein, so 4:1. And I think Marika will speak a little bit more about this later. It's excellent to use in a broad range of products, whether that's in baked goods or whether that's in dairy, as a dairy replacement, in gurts. It can be used in snacking, in frozen goods. And it has also beta-glucan inside. One of the unique things about oat protein is that it has a very good amino acid profile. And we are not here to advocate you should use oat protein in everything, but I think a combination of different types of plant protein can really make unique consumer-facing products, and it can really bring nutrition and this unique amino acid profile to consumers and give them products that are not only great tasting, but have a great nutrition profile as well and some unique health benefits. Let's not take my word for that. Let's look at some products that are on the market already that you do use oat protein. And oat protein has a very good freeze-thaw stability, so it's really good for use in frozen products. So the 2 products you see on the left side from Nomad Foods, using oat protein to replace meat proteins here. So these are vegan, vegetarian products here. In snacking, we do see that the unique properties of oat protein is widely used in the food industry. So one example here, coming from the Middle East, from Saudi Arabia, is actually a snack, a protein pebble, which replaces some proteins with oat proteins here and has a great taste. I think that this should win an award for the best brand. No whey bar. Does exactly what it says on the label. There's no whey inside. The whey has been replaced by oat protein here. And you can see on these 2 products, especially these snack products, you can actually get a very high amount of protein into the products here. So 20 grams in the pebbles and 12 grams in the bar. In baking, this unique carbohydrate protein blend that we have in the OP20 product actually can also bring properties like flour into baking. So the product here you see in the US that Aldi have brought to the market is actually a really good example of a baked goods product where it uses oat protein to replace milk proteins here. In gurts, in plant-based dairy, we see here that this product is a special vegan product where the milk proteins have been replaced by oat proteins. And a really nice tasting product, very neutral taste the OP20 has, and it's really good for adding protein content to products where traditionally oats as themselves, which are great and whole grain, they can't be used in all types of applications. So this is a great way to add protein to this type of product. I'm going to finish here with the last product here, which really highlights what we've been saying. Is this product here is coming from South Korea, and it's a blend of pea protein and rice protein and oat protein. In that way, it brings in different properties and different benefits from the different types of plant proteins, and it gives this unique protein blend, and all of the plant proteins have different benefits that they bring into this product. So as a dietary supplement here, this is a great example of not only where you can use oat protein, but where you can use a blend of different types of plant proteins. I think I'm going to stop there and maybe hand back to Jenny here.
Thank you, James. Very interesting. And look at all the opportunities that we have with just these 3 highlighted ingredients. What I'm wondering about are the nutritional aspects and bringing these ingredients to life. So James, you mentioned Marika before, and who we're talking about is actually Dr. Marika Laaksonen. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, James, and I am going to welcome Marika, who is our lead in health and nutrition at Fazer Foodtech. You're going to talk more about oats, but also about some other interesting things in terms of our physical and our cognitive performance.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you, Jenny, for your very kind introduction. And hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. So last but not least, let's talk about the nutritional wonders of oats. Oats really are a great addition to a balanced diet because whole grain oats have a very high nutritional profile. James already discussed about the protein quality. It's pretty good among the plant proteins. And what is most important, it's well tolerated in the digestion. And actually, compared to other Nordic grains, oats have the highest content of protein. Oats are also a source of good quality fat, the unsaturated fats. And as we all know, rich in fiber, and 40% of the fiber in oats is soluble fiber, and we all are aware of the research health benefits of beta-glucan. Oats contain several essential vitamins and minerals, such as vitamin E, B vitamins, iron, magnesium, and potassium. And what I'm actually really interested in lately is the oat-specific phenolic compounds called avanantramides that are known to be very strong antioxidants and thus may have potential, for example, in skincare. So oat nutrients, the proteins, the fibers, the vitamins, the minerals have several accepted health claims by EFSA. So Fazer Brain Hub program is Fazer's research and innovation program that has been running for several years. And it's all about the brain healthy lifestyle and holistic well-being throughout the day and through life. And a great example, a practical example of how we have utilized this scientific information in food solutions is the collaboration with the 2 rowing Finns team. They participated in Atlantic Challenge race last year and rowed over 5,000 kilometers across the Atlantic Ocean in about 42 days. So the meal program that we provided for them, in that we concentrated on the high nutrient density, steady, slow release energy. Of course, it was easy to use and really convenient to use in the harsh conditions, and also had very taste experiences and the familiar taste, so that they were able to eat all the high energy needs that they had, 5,000 to 6,000 kilocalories per day. So we, for example, packed a lot of porridge mixes, nutrient-dense smoothie powders, and snack bars that were oat-based. Actually, 1/3 of the meal plan was oat-based products. And the 2 rowing Finns finished first in their category in the rowing race. And they themselves emphasized that the optimal meal program was one of the key elements in their success. And what they also did was that they succeeded in their charity goal. They were able to raise more than 100,000 euros for the protection of Baltic Sea. And for us at Fazer, also the well-being of the planet is important, not only the well-being of the body and the mind. So what is actually brain food? Well, in general, it's balanced, varied, healthy diet that provides good carbs from whole grains, vegetables, fruit and berries, high quality proteins from legumes, white meat, grains and fish, and healthy fats from vegetable oils, fish, nuts and seeds. But there is a scientific background behind the brain food. So it's the nutrients and the compounds and the ingredients that have scientifically been proved to have benefits in brain function and in cognitive performance. For example, the good quality fats are important for the cardiovascular health and the function of the blood vessels, which is also important for the brain function. The vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals are needed in the brain function, for example, in the neural connections. Brains don't have its own energy reserve, so they need a constant supply of energy via the bloodstream, so the good quality carbohydrates are important. And then, of course, the fiber that feeds the good gut microbiota and communicates with the brain via gut-brain axis. Let's talk shortly about some scientific evidence that we have conducted in Fazer BrainHow program. First, the BRAVE study was an eight-week dietary intervention where we compared the typical Western diet that didn't have optimal fat and carbohydrate quality with a healthy, optimized brain food diet. And what we found is that the fat and carbohydrate quality improved during the brain food intervention, especially the fiber intake was increased. And this was thanks to, for example, the oat-based cereals and breakfast products that were provided for the participants. The metabolic profile was improved during the brain food intervention, and also some areas of the cognitive performance were improved. In the figure, you can actually see how better compliance to brain food was associated with a larger reduction in LDL cholesterol. The second example is from the collaboration with the Portaat study project. That was a cross-sectional study conducted in Pori city in Finland. And here we looked at the association between the indicators of mental well-being and the diet. And as you can see here in the figure, the higher the consumption frequency of brain foods, the better was the reported quality of life of the participants. And then finally, the very exciting and recent results from my dear colleague Laura Pirkola, who is working with her PhD on gut-brain axis. In this publication, she looked at the in vitro fiber fermentation by gut microbiota. And as you can see in the figure, the production of short-chain fatty acids differed between the different grain fibers, oats, rye, and wheat, and also between the different gut microbiota profile from the two different donors. Short-chain fatty acids are really crucial and have a central role in the gut-brain axis communication. And this Laura's research really adds a piece to a puzzle in understanding how in the future we can perhaps give personalized recommendations on fiber intake, and that how improve well-being. I would like to finalize my presentation with some examples of Fazer Foodtech oat ingredients in tasty and brain-friendly food applications that have been developed by my colleagues Annabelle, Nico and Mia. So the first example is on-the-go drink with Fazer Oat Protein OP20. And this is really a good pre and post performance snack. Of course, the protein intake is important for those who are active in sports and important for the muscle growth, but equally important for the elderly people who have a need in maintaining the muscle mass. But also, this is a good snack for the everyday life to give the necessary fueling for the brains. The second example is the cereal puffs with Fazer Oat beta-glucan complex BG20. This is a heart-healthy breakfast and snack. And what is important in this one is that 30 grams, so one portion of these cereal puffs provides the daily recommendation for beta-glucan for the blood cholesterol lowering effect, and also an optimal dose for reducing blood glucose rise after meal. So a double health effect. And then finally, the sweet spot of the examples, the oat-based ice cream sweetened with Fazer oat xylitol. So this is really sugar-reduced indulgence. So here we have substituted sugar with xylitol, which induces a lower blood glucose response after the consumption. I think this was all from me. Thanks for listening, and I'm happy to answer to questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marika, so much for that interesting presentation. So would you say that ingredients do matter for the mind and the body?
Yes, definitely.
Great. So, and I think we might be able to talk more about that in a few minutes or so, because now I'm going to ask you, Marika, to join the panel. We're now going to move into a panel discussion, which is going to be led by James Stedman, that you saw earlier. Joining us then will of course, be again Dr. Marika Laaksonen, and they will be joined by Mira Stenberg, our Senior Sales Manager for Fazer xylitol, as well as Yekaterina Kuiko, who is the Key Account Manager for our functional ingredients. We have received several questions from you, which is why I brought an iPad here with me and my glasses so I see something. But in the meantime, James will also see them on the screen, which is beneficial for him as he will lead and guide us through this panel discussion as we start now. So please, James, go ahead.
Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, we've had a number of questions here, and we've kind of tried to group them a little bit before. So the first one here is, how is oat beta-glucan used today, and can we give some concrete examples in application? Maybe Katja, you could start on this one.
Yeah, James, thank you. Oat beta-glucan is used quite a long. It's maybe started already in 2000, but it received approved 4 EFSA claims in 2013. Since that, it's increased a lot in a number of products communicating fiber claims. So it's also communicating well cholesterol lowering claims and blood glucose decrease claim. This is a typical example of applications in such nutritional powders, in supplements, in a way for example, like meal replacement. This is quite a common application.
So that's been in the past. Where do we see beta-glucan use in the future? Or how can we push the boundaries of beta-glucan use, especially in foods?
Yeah, what I am observing is that developers are facing today completely different type of challenges and addressing to the industry how could we combat with the challenges like malnutrition, how could we combat with the challenges like rapid population aging. This type of challenge they are bringing, and they are looking more to the personalized nutrition needs and how to cope with the growing population needs.
Yeah. Marika, during your presentation you mentioned Laura Pökköllä's study here, and that was about fiber intake. And how do you see that developing, and what unique benefits does beta-glucan coming from oats provide in this area?
Well, yes, my dear colleague Laura Pirkola, she is actually going to finalize her PhD this year, and it's about the gut-brain axis, and she is especially looking at how the different fibers affect the gut microbiota and also the production of the metabolites in gut microbiota, the short-chain fatty acids that then transfer the effects via the gut-brain axis to brain function. But I think, Laura would be the best one to tell about the research, but I think how we should look at this topic at the moment is that it's also the varied consumption of fibers, so the different type of fibers. Of course, beta-glucan is important and has the specified health benefits. But also we need other fibers, and they all have their good effects, and a combined set of different type of fibers is healthy.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Another topic here that came up is how do these Fazer Foodtech ingredients meet consumer demand for more sustainable products, and specifically how is oat xylitol different from other forms of xylitol? Maybe Mira, you have a long experience in xylitol. Maybe you could take this one.
Well, we both have, James, very long experience and history with xylitol, which is probably best known for its dental benefits. And therefore, I was very happy, Jenny, to mention that preventive healthcare in general is very much appreciated by the consumers in today's life. And this is the historical background, basically, why we also today have the state-of-the-art xylitol factory in Lahti.
Yeah, and just to touch on the sustainability angle, I mean, not all xylitol is the same. It's been around for a long time, but there are different raw materials that are used to produce xylitol. What's the main difference then in terms of sustainability?
Well, firstly, Markku mentioned already that oat is very important for us as a company, and we use every part of the oat. And you mentioned the sustainability aspect of it. So what is a novelty feature now is that we actually make the xylitol from the waste, which is oat hull that we get from our own mill, and we turn that into added value ingredient, which is highly valued not just by ourselves, as we use it in our xylitol chewing gum, for example, but there is a potential for the market in general for that ingredient as well. So what our customers and consumers value is the sustainability aspect of the ingredient, meaning that we have a waste ingredient which we didn't use to utilize otherwise. We take that, we turn it into high value ingredient, and by doing so we have certain amount of side stream, and all of these are then sold to other industries which are utilizing these side stream to turn those into more added value ingredients. So we use everything and we put nothing in waste, and that is the circular economy at its best, I would say. So this is what makes us different. So we basically are producing next generation xylitol.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you agree?
I agree completely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We love xylitol. Yeah.
Another question here: why is oat protein in such high demand? And Emma did talk about the increase in NPD work with oat, and in what areas specifically is Fazer oat protein most effective? Maybe coming back to Katja on that one.
Yes, thank you for the question. I see that there is a lot of questions about the protein, and of course the demand for protein is growing, and it's thanks for all this plant nutrition boom, and like plant protein in particular is a new developing area, and oat protein is one of them, fitting well to application. In terms of functionality you asked, I think that exactly functionality is the one compound what makes oat unique for different sorts of applications, starting from the plant food, going to the sport nutrition, to the meal replacement, and then topping with that superior taste and color, like a neutral, nutty color, like and taste. Like this brings a especially big benefit if you compare to other protein sources. That taste is a matter for consumer. And if you are not going to be good on taste, you are not going to sell your product well.
Yeah. Marika, we say that oats are the Nordic superfood. On the nutrition side, can you expand a little bit on OP20 and what kind of benefits it has?
Yes, well, we can say that oat protein is a good quality protein among the plant proteins because it fulfills the recommendations for all the essential amino acids, except for the lysine, that is the limiting amino acid, similarly like in other grains. But especially the OP20, the Fazer OP20 oat protein, for example, it's good in sports nutrition applications because it's not only protein, but it contains the carbohydrates, which are also needed, especially after the exercise for the recovery, but also it's rich in vitamins and minerals and also contains fiber. So when we talk about the protein ingredients, we should not only look at the protein, but have like a wider perspective nutritionally. So what we eat should be nutrient dense, and therefore it's good to have like a great variety and complex composition of nutrients in the ingredients and foods that we consume.
A question here from the audience about the two rowing fins. How did you manage to pack in so much nutrients into almost a 2-month voyage for these amazing rowers?
That was a lot of calculations, so like huge Excel sheet with all the calculations, because actually our criteria was that we would not pack anything that had an energy density less than 4 kilocalories per gram. And of course, most of the food was in dried form, because they had this water purification mechanism with them, so they could use the water to cook the food and for example, to make the oat-based smoothies and so on. But also, like I said, because the race rules said that they needed like 5,000 to 6,000 kilocalories per day. So it was really important that the taste was good, and also that we had like varied taste experiences, so that they were able to eat everything. And they say that they themselves thought that they had the best meal plan in the history of the race, because they were actually able to eat everything, and that's how they had the fuel to finish the race and succeed and win it.
Become first in their class, yeah.
They were first in their class, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Another question here, I'm reading now questions. Do we have studies on synergies between different soluble fibers on gut microbiology? I'm looking at you, Marika, for this one. I'm not sure if we do, but could you explain?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We don't have our own research, but of course, please follow Laura's research. But that's a very good question, and like I said, that the varied combination of different fibers, like it is naturally in the diet, you get the different type of soluble fibers and insoluble fibers, and that's what. So I think the nature has known what we need and what is good for the gut microbiota. So I think we should not like. Extract to pure fibers and then utilize them, but really think the combination and the varied set of fibers in our diet.
Okay.
May I have a question?
Yes, please.
So next time we have such competition, let's add xylitol chewing gum into that regime. Yeah.
Yes, that's something that we regret that we forgot from the meal plan, which is like, we are the producer of xylitol.
We look for the future. Yeah.
I'm surprised that no one asked about the oral hygiene regime of the two rowers for 2 months. Question here, does the oat protein have any functionality?
Yes.
Katja, maybe?
Yes, it's a good question. It does have, yes. The main functionality would be around these gelling properties. It is quite unique. Actually, depends on application. If you heat it up over 40 degrees, you start to see that it starts to gel. And this is in particular interesting for plant foods applications.
Okay. And another question here, what are the benefits of oat xylitol compared to other xylitol from other sources like corn or birch? Maybe Mira.
Well, the claims are obviously the same for all xylitol, no matter from what source you produce the xylitol from. In our case, again, it is the sustainability feature here. It's very lean how we receive the ingredient, how we produce the xylitol in the same site where we have the oat hull. It's not brought for us just because our production oat hull comes to the site anyhow. So way we produce it is slightly different.
Okay.
But the claims obviously are the same.
It's just the raw material that is
Correct.
different, and
Correct.
and
the way we
sustainability.
produce it, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Maybe we've got time for one more question here. There's a number of questions about cosmetics and oil, which we can. It's really great to have them, but
Next time.
next time we can go into much more detail on those. Question here maybe for the future: does FAZER have a plan to take extraction process of oats still further and to produce more oat protein concentrates and isolates needed, for example, in extruded meat analogues? That's a really great question. Really, really
You
good
can see
question.
pretty far.
I think that it's to you,
Yeah, and I didn't need my glasses for that one either. I could probably answer that, and please
yeah.
join in. I think that one of the drawbacks maybe with some of the plant proteins is that it's really difficult to extract the protein, and with oat protein in the methods that we're using, this patented method, we can get 20-30% oat protein there, but to extend that further, you need to use different methods of extraction. It's certainly something that we are looking at, and I think it's a really exciting field here. And if you could have a higher concentration of oat protein in a product, I think it opens up an enormous amount of different applications for that. So definitely something we're looking at. We can't say too much about that for the time being. Anything else to add here? I guess you would love us to have more protein in our product, Marika.
Yes, but not only protein. Let's still keep the fibers and the vitamins and minerals there, and the avenanthramides.
And the avenanthramides.
And I'm wishing a sweeter future from oats.
Yeah. There was one further question. Can these ingredients be combined? Excellent question. Yes, they can. But I think we're just running out of time here. And if you have asked a question, we will come back to you, each of you, and we will address all of those questions that you've had. But thank you so much for your participation, and thanks for the great questions that you had. Maybe hand back to Jenny.
Thanks, James. And thank you for a lively discussion and being able to answer all those questions on the fly. It's not always easy to respond to all the questions. Unfortunately, we couldn't respond to every single question. Like James mentioned, we have many questions in regards to cosmetics and cosmetic use and how our ingredients can be used in that area. I would say stay tuned, and also go to FazerFoodtech.com and sign up to our newsletter. There will be more information coming there, as well as on our Instagram channel and on LinkedIn. For now, this is all we have to share today. We hope you've enjoyed your time with us, and we look forward to spending more time with you in the future. Don't forget to contact us to set up a personalized meeting to discuss these ingredients more. Thank you. Goodbye.